Episode of Automation Unplugged. Been fighting some internet gremlins here. Uh, yeah, thank you, Kat. You can hear Eric's voice, I think. Either he's in my ear. I'll have him on here in just a minute. Let me jump over to our handy Facebook page just to see if, in fact, we are streaming live. So bear with me here. All right, it does look like we are live. All right, so today it is about 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, March 30th. I hope this message finds you well. And we were dealing with some challenges with Comcast out there in San Francisco, where my guest is coming to you from. So let me go ahead and get him introduced. Let's go ahead and bring in. Here we go. Here he comes. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Erick Burton, Vice President of Western AudioVideo. Erick, how are you?
Doing good, thanks.
And the internet's actually working, and you're not fully pixelated.
You know, you'd think we do this for a living or something, and yeah, of course, right before we go live, everything blows up completely. So yeah. It was great.
Oh, it's hilarious. So I'm going to show just so that everyone's like calling our bluff. No, you weren't on time. So here is the down detector, ladies and gentlemen, and there is San Francisco. And where are you at in this map?
We are just a little south of San Francisco. Yeah, so we're right in the
kind of in this
right
area.
in the thick of that. Yep.
All right, so there's the outage. That is that big glowing spot. But like a miracle, literally about 30 seconds after the last invite expired on our Facebook page, miraculously you got your internet speed back up. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that this will work.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you are in quarantine or at sheltering in place there, maybe at your house.
Yeah, that's true.
How was your weekend?
It was great. You know, I think that being stuck at home with my wife is actually, as long as nobody stabs anybody in the next little while, it's going to be, you know, a great learning experience.
So for our audience, obviously these are strange times, strange measures. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your business, and let's go in the way back machine and look at where you got pulled into this audio, video, and automation industry, and where you're at today.
Sure. So I got sort of introduced to the high-end audio scene through Dave Wilson when I was a kid in Utah. And I met his kids in high school and got pulled into his listening room when I was about, I guess I was 16 at the time. And it just got me. And so from then on, I think I was always seeking that sound, and it's been quite a ride. I was at the University of Utah when I got an offer to come work at Audition, which was sort of the high-end audio video shop in Salt Lake City. I think it was a RONT, and then became part of that via roll-up a while back. But that was my intro. I was there for about a year before they changed hands, and rather than going along with new ownership, I grabbed a good friend of mine at the time, and we went and started the media room in Salt Lake City as a competitor, and just we got killed. Like, we thought having a business was a different thing than what it turned out to actually be. I think a lot of people probably have.
I think there's a lot of in the world of entrepreneurship, there's people that observe management or owners sometime. They're like, oh, they're just driving nice cars and it's just all easy and
so easy.
Like so easy, and I'm smarter than them, so clearly I could be more successful.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So 20-year-old me, am I My dad's a contractor. My family's always been self-employed, so I didn't think anything of it, honestly. It was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go do this; it'll be fine. And just got wrecked. Like it did not go well.
Did you like when
Um,
you say wrecked, like as in personal debt wrecked, or just like
mhm.
you bought a bunch of expensive lessons, but you left with some
I
scars?
I paid what I would have paid to go to a top end school to get an education in what not to do. And we built a great, like a beautiful showroom. Like it was fantastic, and did all the things we thought we were supposed to be doing. We got all the lines, and yeah, nobody really wanted to buy anything from us.
So you had the product line. I know it's really not
Yeah.
that funny, but only having been there, done that in my own ways, can I laugh with
Mhm.
you. Not at you, but with you.
So we had, I think at one point we had about 10 people on staff, and we kept the lights on, but as people, wanted to quit and go do other things, and even my partner quit to go pursue his country music career, um, I just didn't hire
What
anyone
year? What
back.
year
So
was that?
eventually,
What year was that?
this was the ending of that whole thing. It
Yeah.
was probably like 2007, something like that, 2006, 2007. And then I just didn't hire anyone back as people left. And so eventually it was me with the lines and the showroom and a bunch of contacts. And I was really like doing custom work and still high end work. And I got pulled into some projects in like the San Francisco Bay Area from Utah. And so I was commuting back and forth from Salt Lake City to San Francisco every week, or every other week for about 4 years. Yeah. Um, so that was the it got kicked off, and really what I bought myself was a career and a bunch of experience. And then out here, just did a lot of like estate size projects, and had my little group of subcontractors, and did that for a long time before I opened an interior design firm, kind of servicing the same clients. And I had just gotten used to being in that world, like art and architecture is kind of a thing. And it just made perfect sense. So I ran that for about 3 years or 3.5 years. And then Larry Whitney, my partner here at Western Audio Video, we met up, and I offered to do some sales for him because I wanted to get back into the tech life. And since then, we've just been rolling here. We've gone from about a little less than 1.5 million in sales when I joined on about 5 years ago to now we're about 3. And we transitioned from doing almost all residential work to now we're like 80% commercial work and 20% residential work.
Got it. And what city or what's the area? I said San Francisco broadly.
Yeah.
Is that correct or accurate?
Yeah, all the San Francisco Bay Area we do, but we're actually about 20 minutes south of San Francisco, in San Carlos, and our corporate office is in La Honda, just over the hill from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, elephant in the room. How's
Mhm.
the virus affecting the lockdown and your business, and what's going on there?
Yeah, so I think my situation's kind of unique in that I have a genetic disease called cystic fibrosis. So just give like the quick rundown on who I am outside of business stuff now.
Yeah.
So it's this genetic disease that really screws with your body's ability to move chlorides across cell membranes is the big thing. What it really means is that like all of the mucus, everything in my body is screwed up. And so my lungs don't work right. My digestive system isn't quite right. Like there's a bunch of kind of gnarly things that go along with it. There's about 18,000 people in the US who have it. And it's kind of had been categorized as a childhood disease because most people who had it didn't live very long, honestly. But a lot of things have changed, and I didn't get diagnosed until I was 24 because I'm a mild case. And between like medication and and doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, I live a pretty normal life, other than I'm very susceptible to getting a cold or a flu or something that just knocks me completely flat. And like if I get the flu, I can expect to spend 2 to 3 weeks in the hospital. And for some time, I was doing those stints in the hospital 2 or 3 times a year. So I was spending up to like a month to a month and a half in a hospital bed. And medication's gotten better, and I've gotten a lot healthier, and it's been through the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation's done some amazing things with drug manufacturers to partner with them and give us some great options. So now I maybe wind up in the hospital once every couple of years, which is great. But we are probably among the most affected, or at the most risk for this virus that's rolling through. And we don't have a lot of anecdotal evidence because there's so few of us about what happens exactly to somebody with severe, lung disease who gets this. But just going on prior experience with things that have rolled through that have tagged me personally, we're treating it like catching it at this moment about the closest thing to a death sentence that we've seen. So we've been very concerned about it. So I've had my ear to the floor ever since it became a thing in China, and they started talking about, a year pandemic, and my ears perk right up. And so I think because of that position, like we watched this roll in a lot earlier, I think, than a lot of our sort of peers in the business world. Like we had a plan for what we were going to do. Like as soon as we saw community spread here in the San Francisco Bay Area, which was more than a month ago now. And as soon as we saw that, I pulled up all social contact for the most part. We started treating it as if it was something that was out there in the community that needed to be guarded against. And about the time that San Francisco, or the Bay Area in general, went on lockdown, we had already gotten to the point where we had a plan to furlough our staff and make sure that they were going to be taken care of, and just get everything buttoned down and prepared for the long haul. So that's about where we stand right now. Is we've pretty much ceased operations. We're just kind of keeping the lights on right now. Everybody is at home. As far as we know, all of our people are safe and at home. And we're expecting it to be a pretty long process to get back on our feet.
What determines when you do reopen, or for you personally getting back, to life as usual? I mean, if the disease is a potential death sentence, which it sounds like that's how you're reading it and interpreting it, that makes a lot of sense. How do you evaluate when is the risk reward ratio in your favor to restart?
Sure. Well, I think that there's a couple of things. Sort of the first is, when can my guys go back to work? Because that's really it. Like, when is the world going to be open for business again, or our area open for business again? I think that that's definitely completely separate from when is life going to be the same for me, because my staff's not at the same risk I am. My clients aren't at the same risk that I am. And so for our staff, like, we would love to see it be like a 2 to 3 month thing where they get it under control enough that the hospitals out here aren't overwhelmed. And to me, that seems like the point where it becomes safe enough to start sending people back into other people's homes, or not feel like we're putting our people in harm's way. So I think that's really the main danger, is that right now, if someone gets sick, that's fine. But if you have any sort of complications, even if you're a young person, this is still just really destroying people. And if you need oxygen or you need to be seen in the hospital right now in the area, like this is the last like little window of time you've got before it's a if you will get treatment, not you will get treatment if you become sick. And we're already seeing that in New York. So the danger isn't that, you know, younger or healthier people will for sure get this and die. It's that if 20% of people who start having symptoms wind up needing health care and there's just no room for them, it becomes a really dangerous thing. And so that's what we want to avoid with our staff and with our clients. We just don't want anybody to be put at unnecessary risk. And then for me personally, the world returning to normal just doesn't make it any safer. As long as there is no treatment and there's no like regimen of drugs or antivirals or anything that slope the curve off, so that when I do get sick, there's some safety net or some net to catch us all from the high wire. Then I just can't re-engage. Like I have to stay isolated. I'm going to have to stay in quarantine. So it'll be an interesting experiment to see if we can kick the business back off with me sort of running things from the sidelines.
How do you handle the mental stress that this must be putting on your shoulders? I mean, just that, like I'm stressed. My family's stressed. But we don't have a pre-existing genetic disorder that it has the severity that it has for you. I mean, so do you meditate? Do you read? Or do you like, what's your thing? How do you cope? Because you seem rather relaxed and
yeah, actually,
I've been talking to you all along over the past weeks and months, and I didn't even realize the severity. So shame on me. But when I did, I said, let's tell the world. That's why I wanted you here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bringing me on and having the conversation with me about it, because it's like this honestly is part of how I've coped, is over 20 plus years of having this run in the background. I went from being a kid that ate dirt and just didn't even think about germs or staying well or any of those things. Like as far as I was concerned, I was just an athlete business person. That's what I did. And from then till now, you go in the hospital enough times and it just gets drilled into you, like, stay healthy. Like that's the only real thing you can do is make it through flu season without getting the flu. Make it through cold season without getting a cold. Manage to, work out and exercise a lot and put a lot of that stress on your body without doing it so much to make yourself susceptible to getting sick. So all of those things just kind of run as background programming for you long enough, and it becomes how you live. And so when I'm out in regular life, not really thinking about this, like wash your hands, don't touch your face, use hand sanitizer, run immediately to the bathroom when you shake someone's hand, like all of those things are just kind of how we live anyway. And so, like I've been wearing an N95 mask on airline flights for, man, I don't even know how long. It's been a long time. And so just all these things that are part of background and have been for me for a long time now, I have friends and family and people that I care about that the way I do that part of my life actually means something to now. And so I felt like that, like I could help with that. And so talking to people about, like, here's what you do, like do everything you can think of, like don't wonder, should I do this? Is that person infected? If I go out, am I going to catch this? Just act as if everyone's infected out there. Everything is infected out there. And the way that you deal with it and the way you wind up being very relaxed is treating, honestly, it sounds a little counterintuitive, but you treat everything as if it's a threat. And once you do that, your brain stops processing, like, what should I do? What am I going to do? Because you've decided what you're going to do, and now it's worked into a routine, and you can relax. And so for me, that looks like Like if we go out, at the moment, I'm doing the shopping. If we do go out, I'm in a full respirator. I've got a layer of clothes to strip off when I come home in the garage. That stuff all lives down there. We get sanitized up before we come upstairs. We go immediately to wash our hands. I usually jump in the shower just to get completely cleaned off. Everything that comes into the house gets sanitized before it comes into the house. The food gets sprayed down. Any boxes wait 3 or 4 days in the garage before we'll bring them inside. Mail, the same thing. And all that sounds like so much like, oh my God, how do you deal with being that worried about everything? And that's kind of the thing, is once you start doing that and the way you deal with it, I don't have to worry about being in my house. And I don't have to worry about the food that I'm eating, and I don't have to worry about so many things that I think are really keeping people keyed up or keeping people in a state of fear. And that list can just go on and on about the things you're going to do, like wipe down all the high touch surfaces in your house, once a day with something, vacuum 2 or 3 times a week. There's lots of those things that you can do. We've been quarantined up for, I think we put 19 days on the board that she's been out of work. I've been doing this for more than a month, and it probably won't stop anytime soon. So that's why.
I have my funny. I told my team this morning my fun cleaning or COVID-19 cleaning routine story. So my birthday was this weekend, and my team. Thank you. And my team had purchased. They got me a fun gift, and so my days have been starting early, going till late. Friday, I finished at 10 o'clock at night on the phone with clients and or video conferencing, working through things. And so a package had arrived to my house on Friday, and it was the birthday gift from my leadership team at One Firefly. They got me a fun little novelty gift. I didn't know this. And the long story short is it was a bobblehead from China. And actually, here it is right here. There's there's the Ron bobblehead. So what you'll notice is there is a white spot right here on the chest. Can you guess what used to be there?
Your logo.
I'll give you a hint.
Yes. Yeah.
So the team had custom branded it One Firefly. And my wife, so she unboxes this thing from China. Inside of the package, it comes with 3 face masks. So there's this and face masks, like very odd, but maybe appropriate for the times.
Yeah.
Immediately freaked her out. She's like, yeah, this thing's getting totally Lysoled down. So she Lysols the box, opens it, Lysols this puppy down, wipes it down. And of course it wiped the One Firefly right off. That was the only paint that didn't stick there. But in our house, I mean, my wife is particularly amazing, and particularly amazing around being mindful of this virus out there. So, I mean, every grocery, every letter, every package gets thoroughly wiped down. And so that at least we have a higher probability of not getting sick, I suppose.
Yeah, that's great, man. I think anything that you can do, like anything you can do that you think of to do, just decreases that risk. And any little thing might only decrease it a little bit, but that risk is cumulative. Like if you have a little thing, it's like 0.01% chance that you could possibly get it that way. You stack up enough of those things, and it goes from playing like the mega lotto to your odds at blackjack, and it's just it. And then too, you get to relax and turn your brain off and not have to worry about it.
So I speaking of this subject of anxiety and preparation, and one of my question was, what are the ways you keep yourself, sound of mind. And you said
Mhm.
through steps to keep
Education and freaking out. Yeah.
education balanced with freaking out. So
Yeah.
how much news do you watch a day on social media or TV? Do you watch it every day?
Zero. Yeah.
Zero.
Zero. So any news that I get is like mostly like places I've found where either doctors or scientists are talking about like what what they're going to do, or what research they're looking at, or reading some of this really fantastic journalism and sort of put together papers that people have been producing that explain things really well. And so that's where I'm getting my information. I haven't been, I think I haven't had a actual cable or satellite subscription for like 15 years or something like it. We cut the cord a long, long time ago. And so that's just not in the background for me. We don't really have it on here. And then social media, I'm not really a huge social media guy either. I'm pretty private. So most of it is, yeah, the information you go looking for rather than information that's given to you that's been translated by someone else and sort of framed for you to understand or feel a certain way about it. And I find that really helps me like keep my anxiety lower, because I'm looking at it and I'm deciding what I think of that thing, and I don't have somebody in my ear telling me, we're all going to die, or it's okay, or like that flash between like what a scientist's saying and what the person on TV is telling us, and those two things don't line up. Like, who should you be listening to? Who should you plan for? And I think that's kind of, to roll into another discussion, that's part of what I think is keeping people so anxious about this at the moment and making this so much harder, is that it sure seems like the goalposts for what should we expect get moved constantly, like daily, to go from, it's a hoax, to it's going to be gone in a few days, everything's going to be okay, to there's nothing to worry about, it's something that's happening to people over there, to now, we will do a good job if only 100,000 people in the US die from this. So that the story changing, and then it changes again and changes again, is just terrifying for people. And I completely understand the anxiety and the fear about this. And that's why I would recommend to anybody is go read what the scientists say about it. Like, read what the doctors say about it. Go find the study from China that says this is exactly what we did, how we did it, how it went. Like, look at what Korea is doing. Like, look at what all these other places are doing. And if you do it enough, what becomes pretty obvious is that this is not going to be a short thing. It's going to be a minimum of like 2 to 3 months of us just doing everything we possibly can to stop our hospitals from becoming overwhelmed. Not that this disease is so deadly to everyone, but if you care about the older people in your family or your friends that have health problems, or you have health problems, that thing, the medical establishment's not going to be able to take care of you well for another 2 or 3 months probably, before we get it under control. And then once we do get it under control, it doesn't make it safe. It just makes it so that they're there for you if you need them. And so what I'm seeing is 2 to 3 months of being locked down the way that we are, and probably 12 to 18 months of sort of going back and forth between being released to move around and having that cause a flare up, and then moving back and just trying to stay under the capacity of our hospitals and move through, like, 60 or 80% of all of us having been infected so that it stops traveling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, how, for those that are listening, a lot of our audience is folks from the audio video integration space at varying levels and capacities. What do you think they should be considering in terms of preparing their business for this? Assuming they intend to stay in business and they want to get back to some level of normal, whatever that new normal is. What are your thoughts?
So for us, looking at it, it's like, how long is this going to take? Like, that's kind of the first thing. And like, everybody needs to make their, I don't want to say it's going to be exactly this, because I would love to be wrong. If it turns out I'm wrong, we all get to go back to life much earlier, and that would be ideal.
I'll go on record. I hope you're wrong, but go ahead.
Yeah, I also hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I have no money riding on being right about this at all.
No. We want everyone to be as healthy as possible, but we also want to get back to some business as usual.
For sure. So for us, looking at that, it was, well, what kind of first, what are we willing to do? What is our burn rate? What can we get our burn rate down to through this downturn? We all, we're business owners, AV people. We're very, I think, familiar with how much it costs to run a company or run an outfit for every month. And if we're not working, what are the expenses we can't get away from? What are the things that we can knock down without, putting our vendors in a tough spot, or putting their people in a tough spot? Like, we want to continue on. And so that's kind of the balance, is trying to get your expenses knocked down as far as you possibly can. And for us, this is a really hard thing to do, to furlough people that are working for you, and that we've had great relationships with, and we are really loyal to, and they're really loyal to us, to say, well, in order for us to have a company for everyone to come back to, this is what we have to do. And so we have set ourselves up to be able to go for 6 months or longer, and still be able to reopen the company and hire our people back. And we decided that was the best thing that we could do for our people, is make sure that no matter what happens, Western Audio Video is going to come back, and they're going to have a place to work as the economy comes back online. And I don't think that any approach is wrong. I know there are people out there that are saying, well, there's going to be these SBA loans that come along that will help people, will give you the opportunity to help people keep their jobs, or help pay a portion of their salaries to keep them on. And so I definitely wouldn't say that our way is the only way to handle it. I would just say that I would start with doing the math and say, well, how long do I think this could go? What do I think the market's going to look like when it does turn back on? And given those two things, like, what tough decisions do I have to make right now? So we've gone to the folks that we lease property from, and asked them to push back our lease terms a few months. We've decreased the number of seats we have across all of our software. Like, everything that we can do, every expense that we can knock down. We had this conversation, you and I, about what can be done. And we decided that every possible thing we could take down, we needed to, but there were some things we needed to keep on, like our advertising, sort of reorient the message that we were sending out to people about what we can do to help them, and really try to prepare ourselves when things do turn back on, that we are there to start picking up the pieces as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I do actually have a couple of comments here. I have Tina, and Tina says, "Hey, Eric, thanks for sharing your story. It definitely gives some perspective. Be safe and take care."
Thanks. Appreciate that,
Tina. And also, Allison had actually posted this when we got started. She said, "Hey, Eric, pumped to hear from you." So I'm a little late to posting that. And if you are out there listening or watching, and you want me to pose a question to Eric, please type that in. so that I can do my best to read that live. Normally, I do that at the beginning of the show, and I think I was so flummoxed with the internet situation. I forgot to do that as we got going here. I am going to bring up onto the screen, Erick, your website, and if people in our audience want to get in touch with you personally and or learn more about Western Audio Video, what do you recommend they go to your website? Do you recommend they contact you directly? What is the best?
Definitely go through the website. Any contact, anything gets sent to me anyway. So that's probably the best way to get it. And people are welcome to message me on Facebook too. That's fine.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you that. I was going to say, you know, has the fact when you I get the Wall Street Journal and I'm on their digital subscription and they send me such fantastic data and charts every morning. And one of the charts I was looking at was the rise in internet usage and overall throughput through the ISPs around the country.
Yeah.
It's basically, as we've encountered with you and I trying to go live, it's spiking exponentially in a lot of markets, as has social media use. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm just curious, as a not with your business hat on, but has this hiatus or this maybe break from the normal changed your own habits around being on any of the social platforms?
Definitely. Yeah. I think that I'm that guy who avoids them as much as possible. And so it's been interesting because everybody's switched on now, right? Like even people who weren't really using it that much, like you need as many ways to communicate as you can with your friends and your family. And so definitely, I picked it back up. And in fact, I think the Facebook profile we've got for me for this is one that's like turned back on from long ago that I had inactivated.
So in order for us to do this interview today, you had to activate an old account?
Yeah.
There you go.
And I imagine some of the folks watching are friends of mine. They're like, "Oh, he's back!" And
he's back. He's on the socials. Another quick thing. This is a form of video conferencing, you could say. We just so happen to have an audience. Has that changed in your life and or for your business, the use of video conferencing versus maybe how you used to do things? Has anything changed there?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we were kind of in a unique place where we did a lot of video conferencing work for our corporate clients. So this is a really normal thing for us. So what you're watching me on right now is actually like an AV cart with a Crestron soundbar, mic, and speakers on it. And so that was just like the first thing I ran down and got from the shop when I figured out we were going to be sequestered here for a long time. Is I want to be able to have kind of a lounge and family room experience with my friends and family. So we've been doing a lot of Zoom with our friends and family, and like even our our business meetings, and things haven't really changed that much because we were using it already to do a lot of our work. And I've pitched it to a lot of residential clients, honestly, too. Like here, we have this that can make your experience a lot better than everybody huddling around your phone or huddling around your laptop at home. Unfortunately, we ran out of time to get shipments of anything before we got locked down here. So it's a great idea with a lot of interest and no actual product to put in.
Maybe you'll see a surge in those sort of installations post virus, and when folks are able to get back to, I would think so. I mean, a lot of I have a unique perspective in that I'm kind of hearing what's happening throughout North America, and it's some guys and gals are where you're at and they've had to furlough staff and they're fully locked down, and other people are saying they've never seen such a surge in particular demands, usually around security, surveillance, networking, in some cases technology. So it is curious.
It was interesting when we talked the other day and you said that, I was like, wow, we don't have those clients here.
I was on the phone yesterday with a client in Texas, and this particular client, they've been a good customer of mine for about a year and a half. And I'm admitting I didn't know this particular feature of their business. And I was, chatting with them. What is today? Today's Monday. So I was talking to them on Friday. And they said they'd never been busier in the entire history of their company than right now. And I was like, and this is a mature business. I was like, what planet are you from? What are you talking about? And they just so happen to be servicing first responders and hospitals are a core customer. So police stations, firehouses, hospitals, and they're busy installing command centers for COVID-19 responses for cities throughout the state of Texas. And their orders, they said, are through the roof, can remotely address everything that's surfaced.
Wow.
And I like,
that's incredible.
Who would have thought? I mean, that's
incredible. Yeah.
That there are those, and I could tell all different types of those stories. I wish I had all my stories were so exciting, but they aren't all so exciting, but they do exist. So there is hope out there. If you're watching or listening, there is hope. Well, Eric, I know that everyone watching and listening to this now is going to want to know how you're doing. So that means we're going to have to check in a couple of times here over the coming months. Are you down for that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Eric, it has been my pleasure to have you on another episode of Automation Unplugged. I was looking for the number. What number is it? This is number 104 of Automation Unplugged.
Thank you, Ron.
Awesome.
I enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Be well. All right, gang. So there you have it. The one and only Erick Burton of Western Audio Video. And I will do my part. I'll pull my team in and we'll make sure we loop up with Erick here in the coming months so that you can all find out how he's doing and how his business is doing. A couple other quick things for you. Have 2 more Automation Unplugged for you this week. Bringing you a show tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. You'll see it advertised on our Facebook page. And of course, doing one more interview, I think on this Thursday. So again, trying to bring you a diversity of guests and perspectives as we all go through this. Again, Automation Unplugged is not normally a crisis podcast, but our industry is going through some things. And so I want to try to bring you as much content as we can so that you can stay positive and get ideas on how you could handle this situation. I am going to pull up on my website something that some of you may not know about. And that is on our website on onefirefly.com. If you go under Learn, you're going to see webinars. And we've just designed a couple of more webinars that we're going to launch later this week. So these will be live. I'm actually going to pull in some members of my team, and we're going to co-instruct. Going to do one on Thursday on Slack, how to use Slack. Slack is a game-changing piece of software, at least at One Firefly. And I know more and more integrators across the country that are using it. So you definitely want to check that out. We'll try to give you, we're going to show you live demonstrations. How do we use it? Why do we use it? And how does it make us better? There you see Jordan jumping up. He wants to chat. And then we're also going to do one on video conferencing. Again, I've been doing video conferencing for many years now. And many of you are being forced into this. You or your staffs are being forced into this. So how do you engage with each other? How do you engage with your customers? How do you keep your ear doo-woppy from jumping out of your ear? And I'm going to go over some of the best practices around video conferencing. So definitely check that out. Feel free to subscribe, share it with your friends in the industry. So on that note, definitely, if you have not already, subscribe to Automation Unplugged. If you feel so inclined, leave a review on your favorite platform. That helps the algorithms push us out to more people. So definitely would love you to do that. And what do? I hide that. And on that note, folks, I'm signing off. I'm wishing you a wonderful Monday, and have a great rest of your week. And I'll actually see you back tomorrow on another episode. So be well. Talk to you soon.